Hello, everybody, and welcome to this third session of the day. I hope you've been having an amazing experience across all the sessions and all the invitees that we've had in the sessions before. I think they've been sharing amazing content, really useful. But, well, we are in the third and most interesting session because we have Elizabeth Stoudinger with us. We're very happy to have you, Elizabeth. Thank you for accommodating across all the different complications and logistics of a virtual event. I know it's a lot easier to do it live, just go to the stage and that's it. But now, a lot of technical issues. Thank you for that. I will do a quick introduction of Elizabeth before you start speaking, Elizabeth, if you don't mind. Elizabeth Stoudinger, she's the president of Siemens Healthineers for Asia Pacific. And she's currently based where do you think? She's right there in Shanghai. Elizabeth joined Siemens in 1998 and held several roles with increasing responsibility spanning from procurement, strategy, manufacturing, and R&D, and global CEO of the refurbished systems business of Siemens Healthineers. She moved to Asia in 2013 to lead the business of Siemens Healthineers across the entire portfolio, spanning from diagnostic imaging, laboratory diagnostics, and advanced therapies in Asia Pacific. Her mission is to provide access to care and enable healthcare providers to increase value by making medicine more precise, changing the way care is delivered, improving the patient's experience, and digitalizing healthcare. Elizabeth studied in Vienna, Nanjing, and Beijing, and holds a master's degree in economics from the Vienna University of Economics and Business, as well as a master's degree in sinology from the University of Vienna. Welcome, Elizabeth. Thank you for being with us.
Well, thank you, Jose, for having me today. And I have to say the topics we will be discussing today are very close to my heart. So I'm very much looking forward to the conversation we're going to have.
Amazing, really good. So, well, what can I say? We can start with a long introduction about how challenging, different, and really interesting year we've been having for this 2020. Nothing that you don't know. And actually, that's what we want to do. Have a little bit of exchange of how you're seeing things, how, particularly from your industry, which is of particular interest for everybody nowadays, I think you can share a lot. And as well, we are targeting the concepts and the situations and the stories, cases that are happening for the culture of the organization as well, because it's kind of where we want to bring the learnings and the sharings of today. And for sure, Siemens Healthineers has been at the center, at the epicenter of it all, due to the industry and the situation that we've had and still experience in many parts of the world, talking about this pandemic. And naturally, you are offering state-of-the-art solutions somehow for whatever is happening around this crisis, right? How does all this has challenged or changed your workplace culture? How does this is shaping or reshaping what you are doing inside your company?
Well, as the whole COVID crisis unfolded, as you all know, it started from here in China. So we here also in the team in China was very much the first team globally experiencing that something was happening. In the beginning, we thought this is a local topic, a crisis which needs to be managed in China and around the team here. As you all know, it didn't take very long for the whole world to become part of what is going on, and organizations around the planet really having to adapt and to adjust and to find ways of dealing with this new situation. I mean, for us as a company which is deeply involved in diagnosing the disease as well as in following up on treatment, we were very close and we were very exposed to all the needs and the sudden demand coming from the most affected areas, particularly starting from Hubei province in Wuhan, where we were asked to, on very short notice, help with expanding the capacity to test patients, help with making sure that the healthcare system can keep running. And in order to do this, you have to somehow ensure that your people, so people from your own organization, are safe and also are confident to go into the hospitals, to go where actually the epicenter of the pandemic is unfolding, and to make sure that the system and the equipment and all the things the medical practitioners need to perform their duties keep running. And for us, this was, I would say, the first topic really was to make sure that our people are safe, in order to make sure that they, in a sustainable way, can help and support. It was also amazing to see how people were willing, without hesitating a minute, to go in there and be part of solving the challenge, addressing the challenge. You all know it was in the middle of Chinese New Year. It was definitely not the time where people had planned not to be at home, where people had planned to go into such an area like Hubei province was during those days, risk their own lives. Nobody knew how dangerous this virus would be, not be with their families during Chinese New Year, and going in there not knowing how long you would have to stay. Nobody knew when you would be allowed to move out again. So a huge commitment on behalf of from our employees and everybody involved in managing this crisis. And for us as a company, the main task really was to make sure that people have what they need, that they are protected, that they have the equipment they need to be safe, that we support them also with supplies and food and a lot of other things to make sure that they can deliver this very crucial commitment and contribution to addressing the crisis. And then you had, of course, the second topic with people not being able to go to offices, where we had to, within 1, 2, 3 days, move from doing a very traditional office-based way of working to switching to getting things done online, managing a crisis by not being able on site. And that really triggered a transformation, I would say, which we are still experiencing today, and a lot of learning for us as an organization.
No, totally get it. And one way or another, these really impacted in a dramatic way in some cases, and in some other cases, the resilience was put to the test, right? How resilient we are and how ready we are. George Burson, he was talking about 3 stages of all this, like from reaction, adjustment, and then transformation. And I was thinking, well, this situation, as many others, but this particular critical one is bringing probably something I wanted to chat with you. Is this bringing changes for good, things that will change for good, that we may not go back to things as they were before, because we are doing things better, because we need to change, because we need to adjust? And how does that impact particularly leadership and the work relationships?
I think there already has been fundamental change, and I'm deeply convinced that much of this change is here to stay. This experience that it is possible to work in more decentralized settings, that there is a lot of things you can get done by communicating with video on and through your mobile and remote devices. And it also opens up opportunities, this experience, because it shows us that maybe this model that everybody comes to the office every day, is something we can question. And the debate and the conversation around this is not new. I mean, that has been around for quite a while. So it wasn't invented because of COVID. But I do believe there was a very, very fundamental acceleration, because we all went through this real life experiment. If you don't have a choice, and you have to change, and you need to adapt to this change. And then you just leapfrog in terms of going through that process of how can we embrace these new ways of working and getting work done. And I do believe that there is fundamental implications for how organizations functions and also how leadership works. Yeah, if you kind of reset the way, how do we get work done? How do we collaborate? What are the models? How we discuss, how we create new things, how we follow up on things is quite different from what it used to be a year ago. And there clearly is a need also for leaders to think about how do I adjust, how do I give back to the team what they need to be able to successful and be able to get the job done they are tasked to do.
So leaders, they need to reskill a little bit. They need to speed up to catch up with the challenge of leading among the crisis. Do they need to embrace new ideas, concepts, philosophies to keep the boat in the right direction?
I see a very fundamental need to do that. And we on the side of Siemens Healthineers, we also discuss actually quite regularly about it. So what are we learning from this experience of doing almost 100% online, especially in the global setting? Yeah. And in the first couple of months, I think everybody believed this is a phase. So it's something we somehow have to survive, and then we will go back to doing things the way we used to work. And it was very much based on just getting tasks done. And for just getting things which are already planned executed, online ways of working are actually quite effective. However, as this situation then continued, yeah, and as it's becoming more and more clear, maybe there will be no back to normal, but the normal of the future will be a different one. We started really also having conversations. So how in that way of working, where does creativity happen? How does innovation happen? How do you drive change? What kind of formats can we find, yeah, to somehow compensate for the kitchen coffee conversations we used to have, which are not so easy to organize anymore, and which are very, very important, both for the culture in an organization, but also for the organization to really unfold its full potential. And I don't think the answers are out there yet. Yeah, I think people are thinking, experimenting, trying different things, experiencing what works, and also experiencing moments where you realize, well, we are still missing core pieces, and somehow we need to find ways of capturing that, because it will be important for the long-term success of the organization.
Definitely. Thank you for that. I think somehow humanity is realizing a lot of changes. I think we are raising our level of awareness about so many things in light of this. It's not only the health crisis, but if you agree with me, we have also a lot of political situations all around the world that are changing, that are either radicalizing or challenging things. And I think it's all part of the systemic reaction to the situation in which we are seeing ourselves. But one thing is raising to the top, to the surface. Well, I hope it's not only me and the conversations I've been hearing, but hopefully it's something it's raising to the top of mind of all of us. And I'm talking about that with all this crisis, stress, and all that, we are realizing that our world, the only one that we have, we need to keep it. We need to care for it. We need to, and for that, we are realizing that probably it's about how we are dealing with things, and we have to slow down and think more critically and strategically about how we're doing things. Of course, at home, personally, but then how does the companies, organizations are participating in this? And I'm talking about being more sustainable, more green. And being sustainable is not only about the plastic recycling. No, being sustainable is about how we're avoiding another health crisis, right? And it's by preventing a lot of particular and important things. So these are things that are also coming as part of the package on top of the shoulders of the leaders and the leadership of the company, right? How to put everything together there.
I think you're making a very important point here, yeah, is that there is only one planet and there is 7.8 billion people on this planet who are looking for a living and still growing, looking for a living healthy and also happy lives. And somehow it's everybody's responsibility to think about how can we make a contribution, yeah, to making this planet in a sustainable way, a place where people can thrive and where people can develop and where people can live healthy and happy lives. And for us as a company in healthcare, we have an important contribution to make, especially in that angle. If you look at the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, there is this goal number 3, which focuses on ensuring healthy lives, yes, and promote the well-being, for all at all ages. And this is, of course, the one part of the development goals which connects most immediately to the work we do. And we are very mindful and we have a lot of discussion about how can we contribute to this. And one key contribution Siemens Healthineers is making and can make in that space is to look for better ways of providing access to healthcare. Look for better ways of bringing diagnostics and treatment possibilities to the people. And in order to do this, of course, it's about cost, but it's not only about cost, especially for us here in Asia, it's a lot about capability. Yeah, even if you have all the money in the world to create the most beautiful healthcare infrastructure across the planet, if you don't have qualified people, yeah, and the physicians and the nurses you need to somehow be part of this, it doesn't help. Yeah? So it's about looking for less expensive ways of providing care, but it's also for building capability. And there is an additional opportunity which the current digital age brings for us is there is a lot of ways where digitalization in healthcare can truly help to improve access, to help address the shortage of qualified staff, to help address the access of geographical reach. So there is a very important element, and Siemens Healthineers is a company that invests a lot in topics around artificial intelligence, in building digital solutions in different parts of the healthcare system. And we do believe that this is an important contribution, and also it's not only a contribution, it's also an obligation we have to be part of this.
For sure. And therefore, that's why we are so happy to be exchanging now with you, Elizabeth, because of course, your industry, your company, what you do, it's so important. We are realizing how important it is, the healthcare, and how important it is to put together healthcare, sustainability, leadership, because that combination can be really a winning combination, not only for your organization, for sure, but the way you spread this philosophy for everybody. Because somehow I believe that what you do, while you do what you do, you're somehow educating people, educating them also to understand what you do and the importance of what you do. And that if you are concerned about being sustainable while you do what you do, I mean, it's a very important message. And I was thinking that has to have some sort of there has to be some echo in the philosophy and the mindset of your colleagues in there. How do you spread all this philosophy among your colleagues? How do you make them resonate with all this, represent this pridefully, consistently, effectively? You know what I mean, right?
I mean, I would say that the situation itself helps a lot, yeah, because we really kind of in a way felt the purpose of what we do in such an immediate, yeah, and direct way. Yeah, if you say, so when you ask questions, well, do I have the disease? Well, we can help to find out. How severe is it? We can help to find out. How can I manage a surge of infections? Well, we can help a healthcare system to manage. So for us, I would say many people, just as we were addressing the crisis, it helped people to really see and feel the impact. But then, of course, we also made big efforts to speak about it, to share the examples, to share the great stories. We said our first frontline employees, who were the ones who really went into the crisis territory, risking their lives, being separated from their families. So we rewarded them, we recognized them. We had our kick-off meeting in China for the new year a few weeks back. And this, fortunately for us, was already the first big offline event again we had here, because we in China have the luxury of being a bit ahead of the curve when it comes to containing the virus. And we had these people on stage. Yeah? We had them share their story, share pictures from what it felt like and how they felt supported by the rest of the organization. And I have to say, it was very touching. And as we had the conversations after their presentation, everybody said, wow, this was just so powerful to hear directly from them and to see how they experienced it and how we could contribute. So this is one concrete example. Also, there is other examples where it's really also about sharing, making sure people know about things we are doing and how we are contributing. And how agile the organization has been to respond. Also here, would like to maybe share one concrete example. I mentioned that in Hubei province, as the situation was escalating, there was a very strong increase in demand for CT scanning. So they needed to scan patients to determine what is the severity of the disease, are they infected, yes or no. And they did not have enough of these scanners. So we received phone calls, well, can you help us to put more scanners into this territory? Fortunately, we have a manufacturing and R&D site here in the country. So we said, yes, we will send something, we will dispatch within a couple of hours. We were able to dispatch additional machinery. But then once the machinery arrives on site, you know, if you don't have people operate it, if you don't have people who don't get infected by treating the patients there, I mean, you've not achieved anything. And then within a matter of 2 or 3 days, the team here in China was able to use a 5G-based remote connection, which they then implemented on these CT scanners, were able to connect one of the key hospitals in Wuhan with these remote places where you could scan people and thereby address the risk of potential infection, as well as the risk of leveraging the capability which was available centrally, but not in the spots where the people were being scanned. You know, and sharing these stories really creates that sense of pride, and it creates that sense of purpose, where people see, wow, what we do makes a difference. And also, it's not just about waiting for someone to give me a solution. I can, by using my entrepreneurial spirit and my creativity and my capability on the ground, I create something which is truly unique and fundamentally influences the situation in a positive way.
I really love the story. Certainly, it's inspiring, and I'm very sure you feel proud about these happenings with your people. And this is something that brings everybody together. If you notice, the theme of our event and the whole year globally has been that if we are thinking together, if we are gathering to put our minds and hearts together, we can go ahead of the crisis and survive. Not only that, but as I was telling you before, not only adapting, but actually transforming, seeing to the future. And better together is somehow you are illustrating one idea with this story. But then I was thinking, looking forward, now that you were listening to all your colleagues speaking in that meaningful meeting, what is more important to be in the shape of the culture that you need to foster ahead, to keep working as with a priority on diversity and inclusion as your culture, or rather to be more innovative and resilient. Is there any priority among those?
For me, there clearly is no, it's not an either or topic. Yeah, because if you're looking for innovation, what do you need to be innovative? You need creative minds. How do you spark creativity? Will you get more creative ideas if you bring together a group of like-minded people with the same background, with the same experiences? You already know the kind of solutions and ideas you will be getting if that's what you do. If you bring together people with different backgrounds, different experience, different mindsets, maybe it takes a bit longer to come to this outcome and the solution or the ideas you are looking for. But I'm convinced that bringing in and creating a diverse and inclusive team is the foundation of innovation going forward. And
so
for us,
they need to coexist, right? In a culture of the future.
I'm deeply convinced that they need each other in a way, and especially I would say innovation needs the creativity and the diversity, and if you want to unleash the power of the diversity, you need that inclusive mindset, because otherwise it will not come to full fruit and come to full flourishing that you bring together a diverse team. So to me,
and now that we're talking about this, oh, sorry. Yeah,
no, go ahead.
Okay. No, I was thinking now that we're talking about this, I think we are somehow in a historic moment where visionary leaders and organization will have to lead on, respond disruptively, not only to survive, but actually to be on the top of the game, to be leading, right? What comes ahead. What is the role in this scenario of trust? You know that our value, our most important concept is trust. How do you see trust playing in this scenario?
For me, this dimension of trust is probably the most important one, because if you reflect on everything we've discussed so far, it's a lot about uncertainty. Things happen and nobody knows exactly what is the next thing which will happen, what is the next thing which will make a difference. And if as an organization you want to respond to such an uncertain environment, the only way to do this is to have people at the front line who are empowered to do things. And if I want people to be able to respond fast and to adapt and adjust in an agile way, if I don't trust that the teams in the front lines will do the right things and will understand what is the best response, whatever unfolds around them, you will not be able to be the best you can. So for me, this idea of trust, which is closely connected with empowering people to take care and be responsible for whatever they're tasked to do, is a very, very fundamental principle, especially in a world that is as uncertain as the times we're experiencing at the moment.
For sure. If you don't mind, I don't want you to feel on the spot. Actually, you are right now, but you, after your successful career, Elizabeth, have you can you share with us, would you like to share with us, how have you used trust personally in your leadership relationships, inspiring your people, empowering your people, making them feel that their contribution is important? I don't know, I'm making examples here, but if you can share a little bit from your successful career and your successful persona, how have you done this?
Maybe let me answer this in two ways. First of all, I personally, growing up in Siemens and in Siemens Healthineers over a long career, being with the same company but in very different roles, I've personally experienced a lot of trust from my managers. So I've always benefited from this experience, that there were people who believed and trusted that I would be able to address whatever was necessary and what was needed to get done. So it's this very personal experience of being trusted as I grew up in the company, which also inspired me to do the same and give that back to the teams I was working with. And the second angle is if you look at a role like mine, where I'm responsible for Asia Pacific, which is a huge geographic area. We have organizations, and we have organizations in 15 different countries. Mm-hmm. It's in my direct responsibility more than 8,000 people. So of course you have to kind of reflect and think, well, how do I make a difference? Yeah, and what do I have to do for us to be successful in that setting? And for me, a key principle is to make sure that I have the strongest team on the ground I can possibly have. And if you're looking for building strong teams, you have to look for leaders in these different country organizations who you trust, and who you are convinced will do whatever it takes to be as successful as we can be in their direct scope of responsibility. And I provide a lot of freedom, also to the people. So for me, it's really a lot on focusing about what we want to achieve, and much less about how do we get there. I do believe that people who are close to the market, who are directly in that market environment, engaging with customers on a daily basis, they know what to do. So it's clearly not my job to tell them how to get to where we need to go. My role is to make sure there is people on the ground who understand how to capture opportunities and drive them independently. And this only works if you have this fundamental belief that you can trust people, and that you take a position more where you say, well, my job is to help you to be successful, and it's not my job to tell you how to be successful. This is a very fundamental difference.
Yeah. So you work much more in a supportive way, facilitating that they do what they have to do. Am I getting it right?
This is one important element. I'm also making sure there is exchange, so that the different teams can learn from each other, so that there is this cross-pollination of great ideas, of good practices, of whatever. And the third dimension, I would say, of how I contribute is to support with also positioning the work we do in Asia with the headquarter organizations, to ensure that it's understood what the contribution is coming from Asia, and also what we need in order to be successful. So I would say those are the three key dimensions where I believe I'm most valuable, or it's most valuable to spend my time.
Amazing. Really cool. And well, so formal questions in the script are done, and I really want to thank you for exchanging, sharing, and letting us get closer to the intimacy of how you're leading, what you're doing, your amazing and successful career, and sharing the amazing culture that you have there in Siemens Healthineers. Pretty sure our attendees are learning a lot, being inspired. You want to add something, Elizabeth, from your side?
I'd actually be curious to hear from you. In the beginning of our conversations, we also spoke about the challenges this extremely online way of working brings to us and brings to organizations, also brings to leadership. So is there any kind of thoughts or good practices you've seen from other companies, something where we could learn?
Yeah, thank you for asking. We've been seeing a lot of things. I would say most of them, they becoming more regular now. But I think some of them, they're trying to do stuff in a very different way. You were talking about this before when you were saying that people have to get used to this. It's difficult to get used to the situation of having virtual meetings, and some things are being lost: the spontaneous interaction, the coffee conversation, and many of these exchange of fresh ideas that normally they happen in the live interaction, and that is not necessarily happening when we are preparing ourselves to be in front of the screen and setting up everything. And avoiding the camera to see that I'm wearing shorts here instead of, you know. And that is an irony because, yes, you are connecting very often, but are you connecting, if you know what I mean? So some of the leaders and some of the cultures are doing, some of them are doing weird stuff, I would say. For example, there's a customer of us that what they are doing is they're asking their people to have the camera on all the day, right? So everything that is happening at the home office of their people, it's being shared freely. And I don't know that, I mean, and I remember the communication from the leader was, okay, so it's just as if you were here at the office. Yeah, but you're not at the office, right? And we're actually invading the privacy of your home. And that is complicated. And that has caused, whether in this case or another case, the invasion and a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression. And we're dealing with a peak in wellness needs and a peak in wellness offers because of this situation. So, about connection, I've been hearing from the extreme that I'm sharing right now about these companies having the camera on all the time. And I know many of them are still doing it, to the extreme of let's just uh, do only necessary meetings every now and then and try to have very clear rules. Everybody knows what they have to do. We just gather every now and then. And I cannot necessarily say, well, that's actually the way to go, because I know that some industries, some companies, they actually need the intensity of communication and coordination. It's difficult. It's very difficult, right? And of course, we're talking about the companies that can do online coordination for all this. Um, I learned very, very nice cases from companies that are doing a lot of very well balanced activities online, not only having the meetings and having the one-on-one things, which I really think is cool. Leader calls the people on one-on-one 15-minute call just to talk about how are you doing, you personally. And let me share with you how am I doing. We're not talking about the company mostly, we're talking about how we're doing. And I think it's very generous, honestly. They're doing contests. And so they have their meetings, they have their different schedule, but they mix in the middle, which it's something that couldn't happen before. And they're mixing in the middle meetings and follow-ups for learning experiences, contests, kitchen cooking contests, or they're doing these guys costume parties online in the middle of the day. They're doing theme lunch. They are doing their lunch together, and they do it with a theme. So they have a conversation about something. And I have a very nice case of a company that is, they are saying everything that is good news and uh, content that will push people forward has to be live online, right? All the other stuff, you cannot do it in a live meeting online. And I was like, well, that's interesting. Could be challenging, right? Could be challenging. Then your widget becomes the channel for not so good news, and probably the people will be predisposed to reading. So yeah, in short, because we've been reading and listening and learning from a lot of companies, a lot of things, but I don't know if I'm answering to your question.
Oh, it's very helpful just to hear which other routes other companies have taken, and this is exactly also what we're a bit looking for when we work together with Great Place to Work. Is that, of course, we want to hear feedback as to how do our policies and the way what we do compare to what others are doing. Also with the ambition to learn, yeah, and to see what are areas where we can still improve. Is this good ideas others had we could also embrace and implement? So for us, this is really valuable. And you are at this spot, you know, where you speak to many different companies. So you are the one who can connect the different ideas. And then people, of course, have to choose, will this work in my setting? Is it an idea which I like or don't like? But just having that richness of insight is something which is really meaningful for us.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And thank you for bringing it up. Actually, let me take the opportunity for all our attendees and for you, of course, Elizabeth. This is an invitation for you, but I will make it extensive to all the people listening to us. We recently had a CEO network meeting. We were trying to gather these key leaders in the region to have an exchange of ideas and start a project that we are going to take ahead starting next year, in which we are going to have network of these key leaders in the region to exchange, to share cases, to talk about the challenges that we're facing, and because I think it's going to be very enriched if we can exchange at that level with different industries, different organizations, different sizes, different situations that each of us are facing. And I think there's a lot of very rich content that if we start exchanging it, we are going to learn a lot. So wait for the communication we are going to release, but this is an official invitation as a token of gratitude for your participation today, Elizabeth. Thank you very much. You are going to be definitely our special invitee to this meeting and to this network, and definitely to stay on it, because I think you can contribute a lot there. Anything else from your side, Elizabeth?
No, maybe just to a bit a recognition also to the HR team in China. I think they've done a great job also supporting us as a management throughout this crisis, helping with showing the options, helping with communicating to the wider employees, also going through the Great Place to Work certification and looking at how can we further improve. I think it's very important that also HR organizations are empowered to do things, to bring up new ideas, and to really help drive the change and help us drive innovation as an organization, and how we lead and how we manage people. And I do believe we have a very strong team on the ground here in China, and I would like to use this opportunity here today also to particularly recognize them here.
I'm very happy that you're bringing this up, and speaks a lot about you and your beliefs and principles. That's very nice to hear that you're doing this recognition. And I've been telling all my customers, particularly when I'm talking with the CEO and the HR director, guys, this is a golden opportunity for the HR to become more strategical in the way they interact and they lead things for the company to go ahead. It's really the golden opportunity to position yourselves, providing the strategies and the way to look at the human capital, because that's the right name of what they manage and they handle, right? So it's definitely, I will steal your words to make this recognition to all the HR people that are listening to us. Definitely this was from Elizabeth to the Siemens Healthineers team, but I will steal her words to make it extensive to all of you guys listening to us, all the HR people. You're doing an amazing job in this situation, and let me underline that I think is a golden opportunity for you to really become more strategical, the right hand of the top leadership in the organization. So keep it up, and thank you, Elizabeth, again for being with us. Thank you very much. We will be celebrating in a few hours with all the Siemens Healthineers people and the people that will be awarded. We are going to have our awards ceremony later today, and we will be very happy to be cheering and celebrating with these outstanding organizations like Siemens Healthineers. Thank you again, Elizabeth.
Well, thank you very much for having me, and wish you great fun tonight. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.